Ladies and gentlemen, we are back.
We're live on the internet.
Ghost on Two Wheels here with the Patty Rick.
It's
How you
your
doing,
boy.
Patty Rick?
I'm good, man. How you been, Ghost?
It's been
It's
good.
been a year, man. We're first week of February. It's been a long year. That's okay.
It has
You
been a
know?
long year already, but it was good just to kind of have the holidays and kind of a month to step back and just because there was a lot going on end of last year, at least for me. Then of course the holidays are always a lot, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Super good to be back. We're live 5 o'clock now. New time.
That was the vote.
Same place. We're in for a little over an hour-long show, possibly more. We'll see where the evening takes us.
Well, let's just see how it goes. And we do have, as I mentioned last year, we're going to try a little bit of a different format this year. So it's not just, we're not just trying to throw together shows for the sake of having a show. So we've got some things lined up. We want to have different segments during this live stream that then we'll clip out for episodes for podcast. So hopefully we can grab more podcast listeners that don't want to deal with all of our shenanigans and whatever, but we can still hang out with you guys here.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So
so we're going to try that, see if we can get some momentum behind Live on Two Wheels. But always grateful for you guys that always show up for our members. We're going to be doing member giveaways every stream, and the more members we get, the more prizes or bigger prizes we have. So
exactly, and we've got a new thing on YouTube, which is got to be a subscriber to use the chat. You don't have to obviously just regular subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification. Know when we are going live. But that is something, just an incentive and a little bit of reward for those who do actually subscribe. We do appreciate you.
yes, and there is a new sound effect for those that subscribe.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get anybody. So what we're going to do is y'all are going to be like the live studio audience as we basically film a show, recorded live before a studio audience. And is that, yeah. I felt like I said that wrong. I don't know why.
No, you got it.
Live in front of
Recorded
a studio.
live
Okay.
in front of recorded in front of a live studio audience.
So it may sound weird that I may do another slight intro for that, but that's what we're going to clip out later, and then I'll have kind of an ending to that, but we're still going to hang on for the live stream, so don't be weirded out by that. It does look like an eagle and a ghost. Maybe it's a ghost eagle. Here's my little ghost right here. This is LBT, if you remember. Lil Boo thing.
What's up, small boy? Welcome, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
We are here. So let's go ahead and get into number one. We're going to kind of, you know what? I'll just do it. So let's try this. 3, 2, 1. Welcome into Live on Two Wheels. Today we're going to be talking about what I wish I knew when I first started riding, and maybe just other little things to know. So those joining us live, if you've got something in the chat you want to tell us that you wish you knew, or some good tips for new riders, hopefully this episode can be good for those new riders.
Exactly. And if you are a new rider, leave questions in the chat. We are happy to answer them as we go through this.
Absolutely. This whole community here, especially over on our Discord, check the links. Very open community, very welcoming to new riders. We want to bring in more riders because we don't want motorcycling to die. So we want just to talk about some things that you wish you knew. Pat, I know that you started riding kind of from a different angle than I did. So I thought if we started from where we got into motorcycling, that may present a couple different angles, and then we will go from there. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I was kind of a late bloomer to motorcycles, especially I think compared to you. I didn't start riding until I was in my 30s. So I didn't come in too over hormoned or whatever. But what about you? What was your start in motorcycling?
Jeez, I got thrown onto a dirt bike at the ripe old age of 3 years old.
Nice.
And it has been an absolute two-wheeled shenanery ever since. Who are you looking at over there?
I
Who
was
are you
looking at you on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Or am I looking the wrong way? I'm
I
probably
don't.
looking the
I
wrong
don't
way.
know. No, I don't know. Anyway, but no, I've been on two wheels my whole life effectively. Um, I've logged well over. God, I think in my total riding career, I mean it's got to be over 500,000 miles, I would imagine.
Wow.
I've ridden a lot,
How many bikes have you owned?
including dirt bikes or
Yes.
street. Okay,
Let,
hold
let's start with that.
on. Hold on. I'm gonna. How many have you owned while I count?
Including the Ruckus. 4. So
Great.
3.5. You're
Three
like
and a half.
You're like 20.
I'm probably somewhere in the mid 30s.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Mainly dirt bikes. As it pertains to like street bikes, really not all that many, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I've only owned DRZ KLR, a different KLR, a different DRZ, a
I'm noticing a pattern.
couple of Ducatis, Harley, an Indian, a different Harley, a different Indian, like 15 street bikes.
Okay. Yeah.
Which means my total number is probably closer to like 40, 45 total bikes. I've owned about 30 dirt bikes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's probably been a lot of things along the line that you have learned. Is there anything that jumps out at you about one big thing that you wish you knew before you started riding?
Oh, geez, that's a tough question. I think really for me, when it comes to getting started riding, or maybe when I transitioned to street riding is probably a more applicable thing of something I wish I knew.
Sure.
Was just how much bikes move around on the road, like via wind. Whether it's you're passing a vehicle or you get a gust of wind or whatever. Like on dirt bikes, you're out in the woods or you're on a track or whatever. Like you'll get gusts of wind that move you around a little bit, sure, whatever. It's very different than doing 75 miles an hour on the freeway and a big gust of wind shifts you over an entire lane.
Sure, and I guess you expect it on a dirt bike because you're hitting little ruts and it's uneven.
Yeah, you're
It
moving around
wiggles.
constantly all the time.
Sure.
But when I first jumped to like street riding, that was a big shock for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew it, I knew it from driving a car, but like it just didn't click.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, I'm going to kind of go back in and maybe this may be more relevant to those who are just like if they want to start riding. But the one big thing is the whole thing. It's going to cost more than you think.
I should have said that. I should have said that.
Now, I did kind of approach it initially as like, whoa, I can save money on a bike because it's less gas, and that is true, and that can be true, but not usually, because once you get into it, and money goes into it.
Yeah, it's one of those like the insurance is cheaper generally. You get much better gas mileage generally, but like the actual startup cost is all. I think what is people don't realize how expensive it can be.
Yeah, and on that is the gear, because you've got people that start out, and for me, when I started, I knew I was going to get a small little bike because I was like, it's a small investment because I don't know what this future looks like, honestly.
Sure.
So I didn't want to spend a ton of money, but to realize that you're going to spend minimum $600 for decent gear.
Yeah.
More than that is probably what you should budget.
Yeah.
When that gear cost is another 25% of what you kind of budgeted for a entry-level used bike, it can kind of blindside you if you're not prepared for it. So that's kind of one of the things that I would say to be mindful of.
Oh, absolutely.
But with that, if I wanted to share what I wish I knew, is buy quality gear. Because when you
Yes.
get quality gear, it's going to last you for a couple bikes, or for you, 20 bikes.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one of the first jackets I bought is I still have, like, I don't use it, but it's because I've unfortunately had to use it in a way that was more impact and slide than I would like to have been. But like, it's a jacket that I think I had it for like 8 years before it took a serious hit.
Hmm.
Like, you invest in good gear, it will last, and it will last a good long time. Also, what's up, Bo, in the chat?
Bo,
Um, Bo makes a very good point. The cost of ownership is definitely more than a car. I think for most bikes.
right. I mean, if you get a basic small CC, I say small, but small mid-range CC Japanese bike, maintenance is okay,
Mhm.
especially if you learn to do it yourself.
Yep.
Now, once you get into some high-end premium bikes and such,
Hmm.
yeah,
It gets pricey quickly.
I just had my bike go in for the 15,000 mile service, which
Ooh,
was
always a painful one.
which is a lot because it's valve checks, spark plug, it's all the things, and it's just where I was just like I can't, but I'm ready for the next 15,000, and I'm excited about that too. But
Yeah.
yes, the cost of ownership, that is definitely one of those things that where, yeah, it can blindside you
Yeah, it
and
certainly
add up.
can. It's one of those things where, like, your oil changes, versus a car are going to be probably the same ish interval depending on what bike you have, and they're going to cost you about the same amount of money. But like, doing your on a Ducati, your Desmo service at 18,000 miles is going to run you $2,500.
That's why
Whereas,
everybody sells them at 17,000 miles, right?
listen, not saying I've done that. That would be crazy. But like on a car, your timing belt is going to be a similar priced kind of large maintenance item, and that's every 100 to 120,000 miles. So like, it's just very different. Um, Depending on how much you ride. Now, the average motorcycle rider probably does. I think a recent statistic I saw was something like 3,000 miles a year. So like,
I'm twice that.
yeah, I mean, I'm well more than that,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
like the average rider in America is not not gonna put 15,000 miles. You're gonna do that. You're gonna do 3,000 miles a year. So every 5 to 7 years, you have to do that really big service. Which, if you own a car long enough and you're doing the average 15,000 miles a year on a car, you're gonna get to 100K in a fairly similar time period. So like
8 years.
8 9 years. So
Maybe.
it depends on how much you ride. If you're like Bo, I know, or like yourself or me, like, we're putting a lot more miles on bikes, so we're burning through those
Sure.
mileage numbers very quickly.
Yeah.
Just depends on what kind of rider you are.
Yeah. So especially like if depending upon the style of riding. So I think that's one thing you have to know of when you start riding is if you're putting a lot of miles on it, you will have more maintenance costs. That sounds obvious to say it, but motorcycle maintenance generally is more than a car for the same service.
Yeah,
So,
correct. You'll spend a little bit more money to get essentially the same thing.
right.
And also with motorcycles, like, you need to be maintaining your brake fluid much more often. You need to be maintaining on a chain drive bike your chain, making sure it's of the correct like slack and it's all adjusted correctly. Like, there's a lot more smaller, tedious maintenances you need to be doing,
Hmm.
but not as many really really large ones. Like, when you go to do a brake job on a bike, it's really not that expensive, a couple $100. Where a brake job on a car, you could be upwards of $1,000, $1,500, depending on your vehicle or what have you. Um, but I think another thing, I'm gonna hijack this conversation for a second. I think another thing that a lot of people don't yeah, like that's so
Like
different
who
than
cares?
normal.
But
But a lot of things that people don't realize, I think, is the shelf life of the gear that you do buy. So like we mentioned earlier, that jackets last forever. Like, you're not really going to have a shelf life on a jacket. You're not really going to have a shelf life on your gloves. Like, they're just going to wear out. Your boots. But your helmets, on the other hand, absolutely have a shelf life.
yeah.
So that is something that you will be spending money on, every 5-ish years, hopefully, not
Yeah.
any more often than that.
So I guess to sum up that whole thing is you do need to have basically a budget for these maintenance and almost maintenance to your gear as well that you're going to be
Hmm.
refreshing every so often too. So,
Absolutely.
but if you can learn to wrench on your bike a little bit too, I think it's definitely worth it. Save some money,
Hmm.
and there's something about just working on your bike that's just
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like I keep spare oil and filters here at the house, and like I'll be just having a really rough day, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go do an oil change on the bike. Like it probably needs one, or I feel like it should, and I'll go downstairs, I'll put my headphones in, I'll put the bike on the lift, and do the oil change, and nobody will bother me. It's great.
yeah,
Just a little bit of
absolutely,
therapy, even if I can't go ride.
absolutely. Um, Maybe some other things to know if you were going to start riding is um, uh, is probably getting your license before you get the bike.
Yeah.
An
You know,
MSF course, I'm going to pitch that big time.
as you should. I was going to.
Because that's actually what I did when I was getting into riding. I didn't know if I'd like it or not. It was just one of those. I'm going to go this route, which kind of blindsided my wife. I think when I first mentioned it, and she was like, "What?" Because
Midlife crisis? Do what?
maybe, and I'm still in it. So
That's
awesome.
okay.
Um, yeah, because I just did not grow up around
Yeah.
a bike environment. It just wasn't my thing. I never drove and still have not driven a manual transmission car. So yeah,
What?
it just has never been in my realm. Does that make me weird?
I mean, only a lot, yeah, but that's okay.
Because knowing that I'm an East Tennessee guy too, you probably know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all that to say, like riding a bike, shifting, and all that was intimidating to me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this MSF course because if I come out of this and I just can't do it or I hate it, I don't want to have to be
Yeah, you don't
four
want to.
thousand, $5,000 in on a bike and whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a good kind of litmus test to say, can I do this? Do I enjoy it? And then of course, I come out of that course and I'm like, oh, let's go get a bike.
Come out of that, you're like, this is the best thing ever.
Yes, we do have an MSF instructor in the chat, Trey Dog.
We
Um,
do. Trey, what's up, buddy? How are you? Hope you're
so
doing
he's
well here
definitely
in the
going
new
to
year.
pitch and back us up on taking the MSF course and training and constantly
Yeah,
practicing.
constantly being trained, getting training, or even just doing drills. Like something that I do quite often, even if I'm not like, we call it like the balance game. You'll see us do it on Chase's first rides, even. Is like we'll come up to like a stop and he'll be moving really slowly, just trying to balance the bike as slow as he can, and that's a great way to learn or just reinforce this like a basic skill that you don't really think about all that often like
Sure.
as a motorcyclist, but it's something that I always recommend drilling yourself on stuff like that.
Is
U-turn
it?
drills, all sorts of stuff.
Am I kind of a dork if I say like when I'm commuting home on my bike and I'm able to do one of those footless stops?
Oh, they're so good. That's what I'm
and,
saying. The
and
balance
I
game.
and I do it, and I'm really like, man, I hope the person behind me noticed that I just balanced a 600-pound bike.
Yeah,
And then then I go on, I'm like, they don't care.
they
They
don't care
don't
at all,
care.
but I feel cool.
But
So
I feel
who
better, and that's what's
cares?
important because my feelings are more important than yours.
Ugh,
That's the
man.
world we live in. Hey, focus.
Well, I'm reading chat. Don't at me.
No, your screen looks actually out of your
Oh,
camera's out
God
of focus.
dang it, camera. There it goes. All right. Oh my gosh.
Although that focus thing was applicable to both.
Rude. But no, I think when it comes to like doing drills in traffic or doing slow stops in traffic or what have you, like learning, training, constantly trying to improve yourself as a rider is one of the most important things we can do as riders. Only if not for the fact that it's going to keep you on your toes, obviously training yourself, but like by doing that extra practice and that extra training is when you get into an oh shit situation, you are able to easily use your training and your like reflexes to get yourself out of it or what have you.
To quote Maverick, you don't have time to think. If you think, you're dead.
Yeah,
You
you
just
do.
need to develop that skill set to react.
Mhm.
Kind of along those lines, one last thing I'll throw out there is you need to have kind of some thick skin and a short memory. And what I mean by
Mm-hmm.
that is, I would say most everybody, not everybody, but most everybody out there is not out to get you. They
Yeah.
just don't see you.
Yeah.
So
They're just dummies.
they're just dummies. So when you get cut off, you don't need to go punch a mirror. You just take a deep breath and just be like, you know what? They've probably got something going on. They just didn't see me. It is what it is in motorcycling. I've learned that you just have to brush it off.
Yeah. You've got horns for a reason. You've got, I'll honk at people. I'll kind of throw a hand up and be like, "Hey, pay attention," and then I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like, move on.
Well, and to
Hopefully
that,
they learn.
sometimes, yeah, and hopefully to that point, like kind of giving them some attention, like, hey, they can, whoa, I need to do better as a driver too.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I totally missed that person. Holy crap.
Right.
Yeah, I feel attacked. No, Nissan Altimas are always hunting. That's true. Nissan Altimas are Altimas. They can't save them. If you're an Altima driver, I'm not sorry, but please learn to drive.
Don't worry, Bo. We don't have any documentation from Kentucky. If there's,
Hold on, boss. Time out. What? What? We're gonna have to story time that at some point because. But we'll have to have you on the show, and you'll have to tell us all about this Kentucky adventure you guys went on. You bunch of goobers.
so,
Anyway, moving on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of little things, because when I came into motorcycling, you don't know what you don't know, and I unfortunately just did not have anybody. I didn't have any contacts in my phone of anybody that I could call and ask about motorcycling when I started.
Sure.
It was Google, YouTube. It was Chase on Two Wheels first rides to be like, what's a decent bike, I will say that if you are taller than 6 feet and 200 plus pounds, you do not need to start on a 250.
No, do not, like... I wish, I think, my immediate thought there was, be reasonable, but, you don't know what you don't know, like you said. So it's understanding, one, your body type and who you are as a person, and understanding how CCs on bikes work. Mm-hmm. You say don't start a 250. A 252-stroke dirt bike, very different than a 254-stroke dirt bike. You talk about a SV 650, small, single-cylinder, 650cc, a track weapon, but also one of the best beginner bikes on the market, but a R6 or a CBR 600, also a sub 650cc bike, but a 600cc four-cylinder is very different than a single. So you have to do your homework, do your research, ask questions. If you don't know, go into a dealership, go into a motorcycle shop, go to your local Revzilla cycle gear store, go to your local dealership, ask questions. No one is ever going to blame you or make fun of you for asking questions. If they make fun of you for asking questions, those people suck.
That is true. Also, I will also pitch our Discord link in the description. If you have questions, you want to get into riding, great community there. Or if you're still kind of like, I don't want to post publicly, message me. Message Patty Rick,
Yeah, hit me up on Instagram. 9 times out of 10, I will respond if it's not clearly a scam.
Right. Most of the time. Although, I did want to help out that Nigerian prince that wanted to start riding. So I sent him some money.
Oh, well, you got to do what you got to do. Got to help out those who you can.
But anyway, so anything else you want to add for I Wish I Knew?
Things I wish I knew. Gear is more expensive than you think it's going to be. Wind on the freeway sucks. So much worse than you think it's going to suck. Do your homework. Do your research. That's all I got.
Do your homework. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes.
And enjoy the process.
Yes. Beware of Ultima drivers.
So I do want to give a shout out to our members here live on Two Wheels over on YouTube that support us greatly, and also to our affiliates. A primary sponsor is Cardo. They are the exclusive communications for the entire OnTwoWheels team. So check the link below and also use code GHOSTON2Wheels. Make sure you get the max discount. Tomorrow, February 7th through the 16th, Cardo is doing a Valentine's sale.
Ooh.
22% off. So if you and the significant other need to get a little duo pack, great
Mm-hmm.
time. Or for you solos, if y'all want a bromance and go halvesies on a duo pack, that's a great time too.
Happens all the
Um,
time.
but yeah, you for this sale you have to use the affiliate link in the description. So I always say use that link and the code just to make sure you get the maximum discount. But that runs starting tomorrow the 7th through the 16th. So thank you to Cardo for hooking us up there.
We do love our partners.
And what we're going to talk about next is buying your first bike at a dealership.
Ooh.
So come back for that one. And that's how we'll end the segment one.
All right.
And so now we're just back to just BS live streaming. So
BS live stream with everybody in chat. Looks like Bo had to run for a minute. Modular helmets do suck. They're super heavy and they are not as safe as full face helmets. That's very true.
yeah,
Look at
do you think they're really just that much more unsafe, or is it just because they flip up and they don't get the safety rating?
I legitimately believe modular helmets are generally less safe than a full face helmet.
Sure. But if you had a modular from Shoei, would you feel comfortable wearing it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there are companies that build modulars that I'm comfortable wearing those helmets.
Yeah.
But if someone was like, if you could have a modular or a full face of Shoei or Scorpion or 509 or whoever,
Yeah.
I am always going to pick the full face.
Fair enough. Yeah.
This is personal preference.
No, absolutely. All right. So now that we're kind of in the in-between for our live folks here, we are going to do a member giveaway, a little prize. And we'll keep it simple with, how about, should we do one big prize or should we do two little ones? What do you think? Chat, what do you think?
Yeah, chat. All 17 of you guys, let us know.
We're going to spin the wheel of our members, and if your name comes up, you have a week to claim it, to message me.
Message
If you
goes
do not
on
claim
Instagram.
If you do not claim it in a week, it rolls over. That's what we'll do. It'll be like a jackpot.
Yeah, if nobody
What do you
claims it, it
think?
goes to the next show.
And memberships are your lottery tickets.
I
So
like
what
it.
do you think? Should we do one big one, $100, or should we do two 50s? That's what we're doing, kicking things off.
Let's do 250s. Let's
Two
give
50s?
give more people more chances.
All right, so I'm going to bring up. Let me do a little setup here. We're going to. Okay, we should have the old spinning wheel here available.
There we go.
And it has all of our members listed on here. Now, here's a question. Just to prove that it's not rigged, we'll spin it multiple times. So, how many times do we spin it? Like 3 or 4?
Let's spin it 4 times, and the winner will be whoever it lands on the 4th time.
The 4th time. Okay. So, here we go. We'll do one spin. Who do we think it's going to be? Control. Oh, he won in the past.
He has. Let's give it a spin number 2.
Spin number 2. Again, this is just warming up the wheel. It doesn't count yet, but it's just to prove that it's all whatever.
Mr. Matt Wood, let's go spin number 3. Hug to death. And spin number 4, the one that matters.
This is the one that matters.
Here we go. Leaf, who has won a couple of things
He's
a
won
couple
before.
of times.
He's our buddy across the pond. I don't know if he's here right now. So, Leaf, if you're going back and watching this, or if someone gives you a nudge, let me know. You will win. Otherwise, your prize will then roll over for next time.
Yeah, we've got 1 week from today, February 6th.
Yes.
But
But we're going to go again.
We're gonna go
Now,
again.
if it lands on Leaf again, he doesn't win 2 in a row.
No.
But we're doing 1 spin.
I think we just do 1 on this one.
Just
Let's
do
go
1. Let's just go with
back to back. Oh man, the lag. Here we go.
The lag.
Control.
Oh,
Alt,
back to
owned.
Control Alt owned. I don't know if I saw him here, but
I haven't seen him in chat, but he may or may not be here.
all right. So same thing, buddy. If you just message me within the week, claim your $50 Revzilla gift card prize. I'll get that to you. Otherwise, it rolls over to next time. So, but
So
once
Leaf
again,
and Control Alt owned. You got a week from today.
but yeah, once again, big shout out to our members who support us. We want to be giving back to y'all and have some fun with that. And again, more members, more prizes.
Yeah, that's right.
All righty. So, well, that was fun. I feel like this is flowing pretty well. I mean,
Yep, we're doing well. We're about halfway. We're at the 30-minute mark. So let's. I think we got a sweet ad. Getting hit with an ad right now. You love to see it. And then let's get rocking and rolling into segment number 2, I think.
All right, well, let's do it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome in to Live on Two Wheels. We're going to talk about buying your first bike at the dealership. Of course, you can always do like private sales from Facebook Marketplace, but we'll talk about that another time. The dealership, the pros, the cons, and Patty, Rick, you may have a little insight into this as well.
I certainly do. As someone who's bought and sold many a bike private party and bought and sold many a bike at the dealership, and having worked at a dealership for a number of years, I do have a particular expertise on this particular field.
Right. So would you, out the gate, let's just say, would you recommend a person buy their first bike from a dealership?
Generally, yes. The reason I say that, especially a new rider or you're buying your very first motorcycle, is one, there are a lot of different questions you're going to want to ask, and not every private party person is going to have all of that information. Going to a dealership is going to allow you to sit on a various amount of motorcycles to figure out what fits you, your body type, your size, your style, whatever you want to be doing with that bike, to ensure that you get a bike that you actually like. Not that I was told this is a good bike, so I found one on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace and I bought it, and it turns out it sucks, or turns out it's way too powerful, or whatever, or I don't like riding off-road like I thought I would, or what have you. Mm-hmm. Going to a dealership lets you sit on a lot of bikes, lets you ask a lot of questions to people who are, or should be, experts on the product.
And generally, you do see that the salespeople there are not going to let you get on something you shouldn't be getting on.
Yeah, most dealerships, people have a conscience. They're not going to put a brand new rider on a Busa.
Right, and the Boost is the one you always think of, which was always like the iconic bike when I was growing up.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Busas were always super cool looking.
It was just the bike. One thing that I will say that is a plus for going to the dealership for your first bike is there is going to be at least a certain level of quality that you're getting, even from a used bike.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to give the bike generally at a once over, or sometimes just they'll change the oil. They'll put new tires on. They'll do some things like that to just make sure it's not a death trap.
Yeah,
So,
it is in the dealership's best interest to sell you a safe machine.
yes.
Like if they will not sell you something that is unsafe, it is a huge liability for them. So it is in their best interest to get you on a safe, well operating bike.
Yes. Now, dealerships are going to cost more than private sales.
Always.
But I think for the reasons that we mentioned, especially if you don't know a lot about bikes, paying that extra amount for getting something that you know is at least of a certain standard, it's worth it in that case.
Absolutely. And at a dealership, most of them also sell gear. You can try on all sorts of gear if you don't already have it. But as we've talked about in a previous episode, for new riders, you should probably have your own gear if you are that serious about looking into motorcycles, having already done an MSF course or some sort of training program to make sure that it's right for you and a skill that you want to develop further in your life. But dealerships will have a lot of gear. They will have accessories, maintenance items, things like that. On top of that, if you buy a new or used bike from most dealerships, a lot of them do offer some sort of service contract.
Oh, yeah.
offer some sort of service contract so that, like, if you are super new and you don't do your own maintenance, you can get a good discount on the first 5 or 6 maintenances of a bike. That being said, just really depends on who you are, how much riding you think you're going to be doing. Up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard Hobbit of Chaos member for 15 months. Thank you,
Wow.
Hobbit.
Jeez.
You are crazy and off the wall, and we love you for it. Thank you for your support. His member super chat. Always have 30% down if you do a loan or just pay in cash. Also buy cams, not just for vlogs, but for insurance purposes too. Also, dealer fees suck. There's a lot in that I think we can unpack.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the last one. Dealer fees suck. Yes.
Yeah, dealer fees suck. Most dealerships will, I'm going to be real honest, they will overcharge on their dealer fees. It is a way for them to make money. On most new bikes, there's not a lot of markup for those dealers to be making money. Businesses have to make money to be there to support people.
Yes, and especially when you're a new rider and you're buying a low to mid CC bike, that margin, as you just said, is so low that they still have to pay their employees. They have to pay the electric bill. They have to pay. And there are some legitimate fees. It does cost a few $100s to ship a 400-pound machine from California to Georgia, in our case.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for reference of, like, the Honda Groms, they're $4,000 or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, I was working at Mountain, we were selling them, like, if someone paid full MSRP, full dealer fees, and everything, I think we made like $150 on it. Like, there's just not any margin in those smaller CC low-cost bikes.
Yeah.
But when you get up into, like, the $25,000 bikes, there's a lot more wiggle room there. But it's very different.
Yeah, and I think the reason the fees suck, though, even though some are legitimate, some are not, is just put that on the price tag. You know, I hate when you get lured in. Oh, this bike is, $5,999. Okay, out the door, $9,682. What the?
Yeah, which a lot of dealerships now, like a great example of this, Triumph Roswell, like, they have the stat sheets on all the bikes on their floor. You flip it over, it has their full out the door price with their dealer fees and their local tax. Like, it's there plain to see. And they don't, from what I understand, I don't think they negotiate. It's like, that's the price, is what it is.
And if that's it, and you're giving it where somebody can just go look at it,
and it's super transparent, like, cool, great,
Yeah.
no problem. I love that.
Oh, I think I could go on many tangents about one
we
experience I had when I was looking to upgrade from my first bike. Let's just say I don't believe there's a destination charge that should be $1,100.
Yeah, so there's, again, I think I know exactly who you're talking about there. It's something that
Does it start with a T?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are a lot of dealers out there that will, like, the delivery fee is or the delivery and prep fee is based on the CCs of the bike. No, that's bullshit. If you could negotiate it, try to negotiate it. Try to get the best deal you possibly can for you. But, like, you go on Honda's website, it's like, the price of the bike, $79.99. It's a random bike here, whatever. $299 delivery and prep. So then theoretically, it's that plus your dealer, your tag and title fees, a couple $100, plus tax. So your $79.99, $8,000 bike becomes a $8,500 to $9,000 bike, maybe a $10,000 bike, depending on taxes of where you are in the world or what have you.
Right.
That's how that should go down. There are dealers out there that do ridiculous fees just as a way to, again, they've got to make money. I understand that. But there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah. So I guess to put a button on that for anybody who's looking to buy their first bike, look for the out the door price. That's what you want to get. Who cares what's on the price tag? What is it out the door? That's what you're paying. Back to his comment, buy cams, not just for vlogs, but insurance purposes. I do agree with that, especially as one who rides in Atlanta. I have a 360 camera, and I always run it on loop recording when I'm commuting to work, just in case.
Or if you can get, there's a number of companies out there, Chiggy being one of them. There are quite a few that offer like a style of like a dash cam essentially for motorcycles. It's a camera that faces forward, a camera that faces back, and like telling your insurance company like, hey, I ride a motorcycle, but I have a dash camera that runs all the time. and like, or I run a helmet cam and it works as a dash camera. Like, tell your insurance company that will help you out in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing he said, always have 30% down if you do a loan or just paying cash. That's where I'm going to be like, maybe.
Depends on the situation.
It depends on the situation, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and your credit.
Yeah,
So
and we could do a whole episode just on, do you finance a bike, do you not? I think we've done episodes on that previously.
yeah,
So feel free to go look back, but we can definitely do one here in 2025.
yeah. Just real quick, one thing to note on that: if you do finance a bike and make payments, you have to get full coverage insurance on it because it's not totally yours until you pay it off. So
Yeah, the bank owns it. Now that being said, I'm of the idea that you should always have full coverage insurance. I'm a big proponent of insurance in general. I could talk a lot about it's anyway, but be over insured for whatever situation you have going on. It's only going to help you.
Right. Absolutely. So, what else with going into a dealership that you would say buying your first bike? What are the things that people need to be mindful of?
Well, also kind of big. I think sticking to the financing side of things is a great thing about. I mentioned earlier going into a dealership is you have the opportunity to buy gear there. You can in most dealerships also finance that gear into your purchase. Mm-hmm. So if maybe you went in there and you're not expecting to spend $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 on gear, you can lessen the blow of that by rolling it into your financing. Now, there are lots of questions and different variables when it comes to financing, so I don't necessarily recommend that for everyone.
Sure.
But if you're in a situation where it makes sense for you to do so and you don't necessarily have an extra $1,000 cash up front, it's a great way to make sure you are safe and protected. Again, maintenance programs from dealerships are great. Having a shop that is, put their hands on the vehicle, that knows that it is safe and good for you, is really, really helpful. So those are kind of my big things.
I would say when you go into a dealership with the intent to buy, make sure you've educated yourself enough on, especially if you're looking at a particular bike or maybe a couple different ones, and also the gear if you're looking to roll that in, as Pat said. That way you're not purchasing things that you don't necessarily need. Because, salespeople, they upsell. That's what they do.
That's their jobs.
Why does the waitress and waiter ask you if you want dessert at the end of the meal? They're trying to upsell. You can always politely decline. But if you know what you're going in there for, that can kind of help. They can also see that you also have an idea of what you want and will say, okay, let me just help you get to where you want to go. It makes it a lot smoother as well. Also, salespeople have to know all the bikes in the showroom, at least to some degree.
Yeah, but they're not going to know everything about every bike.
They're not going to know everything about every bike. So if you're really focused in on a couple bikes, know what it is. You can ask questions about it, and then maybe they can fill in some gaps, and y'all can work together on that. But just go in with a little bit of research done. Don't go in completely cold.
And go in with some grace for your salesperson or whoever you end up working
with.
Because again, like I said, like as somebody who's worked at dealerships, I don't know or did not know or no one knows every single thing about every single bike. But if you've been researching one and you come in, you probably have done a lot more homework on that particular bike, unless it's something super popular, than that salesperson has. So they might not know every question, but I would be mindful, don't let people BS you. Like, I'm totally cool with, when I were to do somebody asked me a question, hey, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'm happy to find out for you.
Yeah. Those
kind of people are the best people, in my opinion, to work with. Don't let someone BS you and give you a bunch of shit. And like, when you know that they're wrong, maybe that's maybe not the right person for you, or maybe if they're just a little bit, I think it's this, but I'm not really sure, or whatever. Like, have some grace. Not everybody knows everything about everything.
Sure. Some people want to act like it.
Very true.
But yes, don't let them talk you into an $1,100 destination charge.
Yes. Someone sounds a little salty about that.
That was. I wish there was a camera on me, because like when he started breaking it down and said that, like you could see my face was like, I'm done with you. Like,
Yeah.
so
Like,
anyway,
nah, I'm good.
nah, that's it. So,
Yeah.
but
You
yeah,
have,
dealerships. I mean, they are a great place to start. You do hear horror stories, and there are some out there that are a little sketchy. Some try to upsell too much, but um, just kind of prepare yourself and go in, to, as Pat said, to work with them, not against them.
yeah,
Um,
and the kind of the opposite side of the coin is going private party and buying a bike that you have no real hardcore maintenance history on. You don't know if it's been run through a shop. You're just trusting this random guy or gal or person, whatever.
I know what I
Random.
have.
Yeah, I know what I have. Um, listen, it's got oil in it, so it don't need an oil change. Okay, it's got oil in it. All right, like
Oh,
oil, but like, buying private party, you will save money almost always, but you also are playing a huge gamble of like, has this bike been totaled? Has it been fixed? Like, there's we could do a whole episode on what to do if you're buying private party because there are a number of things. Motorcycles are the
yeah.
most stolen vehicles on the planet. I have nearly bought a stolen motorcycle off of Facebook, so there are things to look out for. We could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, if the price is too good to be true, it probably is. So,
Yep. So if you guys
anything
want to
else?
see an episode on private party sales, jump down in the comments down below. Let us know. Jump over and chat if you're here on a live show, and we could maybe do that for you guys.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add about buying from a dealer?
I think that's it for me.
I think that's it. So if you're out there going into a dealer, prepare yourself. Good luck and enjoy the ride. And scene. I don't know how to end these things. I'm just making it up this year. So, hey
Yeah,
Matt, welcome
what's up,
to the
Matt
chat.
Cannon?
Just
Chat. What's up, chat? Internet chat. Let's see.
Chat.
New rider
I'm here.
insurance is expensive. Yeah, true. You could do the MSF course. That will help. Chase Thomas making a good point. Buy at the end of the year if you can. Very true.
yes. What do they call it? New old stock.
New old stock. Yeah, if you could buy last year's model now, always a great way to go.
That's how I got the
Negotiate
Ruckus.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Negotiate. Like if they can't lower the price just because there's OEM kind of minimums that they can't. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can't get a lower price on it, but maybe they can throw in a jacket or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Make it make sense for you. Again, a good deal looks different for everybody. In my old age, it's very much about convenience more than anything. Is like, I know what I want to pay for a particular thing before I even go to the dealership to look at it. So or if I'm going to a dealership to like actually talk to somebody about it, I've done all my research. I know that's what I want, and I know what I'm willing to pay for it. And if they can't get to that number one way or another, then I'm out. Like, do not be afraid to walk away from shit.
Absolutely. Oh, that should have been a good thing to end it with. Like,
Yeah, oh,
don't be afraid to walk away. Don't
Yeah.
get strong armed into something.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
while we're here with our live stream folks, sometimes we just need a little life advice.
Oh, God.
You know? What?
One might call it a tip.
A tip that, now, this one is going to be a little bit more real than just goofy, but I thought, start us off on the right foot. So
Yeah,
let's
Smallboard's got
do
the right
that.
picture.
It's my favorite time of the week. Finally, time for the ghost tip of the
It has been last year's model 608.
That was great. Ghost tip of the week.
Sounds
This
like
is
half of
sponsored by
Suzuki's
Ghost
lineup.
on Two Wheels over on Instagram, of course. Speaking of tips,
All right, here's your tip. Remember, you can't change the people that are around you, but you can change the people that you are around. Ooh. So as we start a new year, you want to make some things better. I mean, maybe see who the people are around you. You know what I mean?
That's very, very true. I mean,
I
it's one
tried
of
to get
those-
try to get a little real this time. You know?
No,
what I mean?
that's good. That's good. It's one of those things. When it comes to life, is if you look at those around you and like the circle of friends that you keep, if you don't want to be like those people, maybe change that circle.
That's right.
Be around people that you want to be like or want to learn and grow from.
You don't want to have. I can't.
No, come on.
You don't want to have somebody that's a jerk in your circle because nobody likes a circle jerk.
Oh God, Ghost Buddy. Starting 2025 off right. Woo!
And this is the exclusive stuff that's going to be behind the members only stuff later.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Shannon looks at wife and kids. Sorry, ladies.
Uh-oh.
Oh man. Hobbit of Chaos with a $4.99 super chat. We need some Hobbit merch, Side Eyes. Also, Hobbit tip, remember, if you are a Hobbit like me, just flamingo it. And I think that is for our vertically challenged folks. Slide your butt off the seat, put one foot down, do what you can on those tall bikes.
Sometimes I'll even do that after I've been riding for a while, just to
stretch.
Just to let some blood flow into the cheeks and upper thighs a little bit and air out. But that's a good tip. You know what? Maybe we can throw together a little Hobbit T-shirt. I don't know.
We'll see.
But
I'll give it a solid maybe.
We do have some live on Two Wheels merch that I don't know if you can see it here, but we do have a store set up on the channel.
Great.
I've actually ordered a Live on Two Wheels hoodie that should be here tomorrow, conveniently.
Sweet.
The day after we stream. But
yeah, no, super convenient. Makes sense. Checks out.
But any stuff like that supports us, that we're feeding that back into you all giveaways, prizes, maybe something for SmortCon, which spawned out of this whole environment
Absolute
anyway too.
Shenanigans.
So, all right, we're going to hit one more segment at least, I think.
Yeah, I think we have enough time for one more segment.
Okay, well, let's do that. So, are you ready?
As I'm gonna be.
Stay on target.
Stay on target.
It still bothers me that they put just a porthole up there so open.
Listen,
you got to make the movie work somehow, right?
Yeah, but they filled in the plot hole later. They did a good job filling the plot hole in with Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to fill in that hole. All right, number 3 coming up. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Live on Two Wheels. Here's a question for you, Pat.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for people to become a motorcyclist?
You know, that's a fantastic question. I think it's one of those things. Whoa, we got Dan the Fireman in chat. Sorry, I'm derailing this entire conversation right now. What is up, Dan? Welcome to chat. We're doing a quick segment on that we're going to rip for YouTube later. So enjoy.
Yes. Well, I gotta throw down against Dan because he's thrown down the gauntlet against the Smart Riders.
Oh, so I've heard of this. Yes.
So
please
he's got
explain.
the Smart
Boom,
Riders.
bang, ding, dang, doom, boom, boom.
Yeah. There's a new
subscriber. Boom,
Oh,
bang, ding, dang, boom, boom, boom.
Oh my God. Anyway.
What was I saying? Dan.
Dan has thrown down the challenge to the Smart Riders. I've heard a little about this. Please explain this to me and to the others that don't know enough.
All right. Well, he's probably going to do a much better job. So he's got the Smart Rider Challenge that is coming up.
Okay,
and
great.
he's laid out these challenges you got to do. Run the course and kind of just it really is a lighthearted competition to kind of just sharpen your skills, which is certainly a great thing.
Yeah.
But Andy Uguni has been over there in Dan's live streams just basically smarting it up and almost obligated us into challenging for that. So
that sounds very Goody-esque. That's very on brand for him.
so we're going to have to I think Randrew's actually already started doing some of the Smart Rider challenges and getting some of that filmed, and I just need a nice day to get out there and do that on my 600-pound bike.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll give it a shot on the Super T while I can. So
yeah, but yeah, he has a PDF basically of all the different
cool
different maneuvers.
Great. Where can we find that PDF? Where can the people find that?
Dan, you need 2 first names because the name's only half good, so you have to say it twice.
Damn, Jesus Christ.
No, so we're kayfabing it, like, the old wrestling promos.
Okay.
Smart versus Smart. So
Yeah, sure.
Well, let me tell you something, Dan. You want to? Sorry. He's had it.
I love that you also are in a room full of wrestling belts.
I do have some. I actually designed some on the side. Dan, I do design for championship belts. If you,
We're getting an ad right now.
I literally do.
Yeah, that's very true.
I got it. He posted it on the Instagram story. He had it like a PDF download from his website as well. But it's a PDF of all the different maneuvers and how you're supposed to run the cones and everything.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's pretty intricate.
Well, hell yeah.
Need to get out there and practice because, like we were talking about earlier with just practicing, taking the MSF course, but also constantly
always
practicing.
doing training, always being practicing, drilling yourself.
Know how your bike handles. That way you don't end up on Dan's live stream, him picking apart your accident.
Hey, listen, I've got a couple accidents that Dan, I'm sure, would love to pick apart. I'll hit you up and send him over because it's interesting. I'd love to get your opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he says it's on his shop. You can actually go.
Oh, cool.
I think when I got it, it was a free download. It was a free purchase or something. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, he loves the belts.
Yeah. We'll get you hooked up with some belts, Dan. We'll get that figured out. Mystic, get out of here. Anyway,
I love it.
That's gonna get clipped. But no, I mean, that sounds awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I think anything that we can do to promote safe riding practices and strategies are going to be beneficial for the community. You know, rising tides raise all boats, so we want to keep as many riders out there as safe as possible. What was the topic supposed to be for this segment again?
Gosh, I forgot. Like, why is it so hard to become a motorcyclist? Like, what are the barriers to entry?
Barriers to entry to becoming a motorcyclist. Well, one, Ultima drivers on Georgia 400.
Ultima drivers. Yes.
Ultima drivers, generally a problem. No.
Well, you could say Atlanta traffic in general, where we are, is just a deterrent.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think a great thing is training. You know, people are like, oh, motorcycles are so cool. They're so interesting. I don't know how to get into that. The biggest thing is go do an MSF course. Go to, for example, there's the Honda Riders Training Center here in like the North Georgia area. That's a great place to just go learn about motorcycles, to see if it's something that you like, something that you want to be interested in. Obviously, owning a motorcycle, they're not cheap things to buy and maintain. So there are lots of, once you get your license, there are rental companies. You can rent bikes, very similar to Toro and things of that nature, that would be really helpful for people who just don't own a motorcycle or can't necessarily get their hands on one easily. And then, of course, I think is just like gear, having the correct gear, being safe with what you're wearing, your helmet, jacket, gloves, boots, and the whole nine, pants, of course. So,
yeah, it's almost that startup cost and process. Is that super detrimental to getting it more? Because you want to get a car, you get a car, you go sit in it, and you go. You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't need a bunch of
have to
special
buy a
equipment.
seatbelt.
Yeah,
you don't have to buy a steering wheel. You don't have to buy driving gloves. Although some people, whatever floats your boat. You want to be weird. But how much of that is just the startup cost versus just, or is it just the complexity of just riding a motorcycle? Thinking of someone like me that came from a background where I never drove a manual transmission. It just wasn't a thing. And I was honestly kind of intimidated by it at first, but I said, I'm going for it. But how much of that is...
I think that's a really good point. I think, you know, as we here in the year 2025, we've got a lot of ways to get around a lot of the issues of learning to ride a motorcycle. Between Honda's DCT programs on some of their bikes, their new e-clutch on a couple of their bikes, we've got Yamaha's new automatic manual transmission that's on its way out. BMW, yamped. BMW's got a CVT situation. Kawasaki's new hybrid is an automatic as well. So I think that's a huge hurdle for people who don't necessarily know how to ride a motorcycle or operate a manual transmission. Getting an automatic or CVT-esque vehicle is going to be extremely helpful for bringing more riders into our community. But I think the startup cost, I don't think, is really any greater than that of most cars. I mean, you're going to go spend to get a halfway decent used car, $10,000. You can get a brand new bike for less than that with gear and taxes and
With
fees and all
gear.
the stuff. So, I mean, it's a matter of what you're comfortable spending the money on, I think, because I feel like a lot of people, like, again, I don't know if I want to be doing that. I don't know if it's something I care about that much. It's tough to swallow a $10,000 pill. Like, everyone, you need a car to get around. Like, it's a
Sure.
pretty well-known thing here in North America. North America is not in general a walkable place. Like, there are certain, like New York City, San Fran, parts of LA, like if you live downtown, midtown Atlanta, you can walk a lot of it. But North America generally is you're not walkable country. Where the UK is very walkable, Spain is very walkable, Italy, places like that. And they have a lot of great public transit as well, which we have some public transit here, but not fantastic. So I think scooters are a great way for people to get involved. They're really, really inexpensive. They're all automatic, essentially. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them
Right.
is a great way to get into the sport. So I think barriers of entry for me is going to be like financial, a skill issue, which you could overcome both those things eventually, and then really just I think fear. A lot of people are afraid of bikes. Yeah.
Well, and I think I was going to bring that up. You say the fear. I think it's justified. I was going to approach it as the danger of it, the risk of it,
Yeah.
because people know that there are more motorcycle accidents, per capita. Is that the right? More accidents per motorcycle than there are per car. Would that be the
Yeah,
right?
you're more likely to be in an accident on a motorcycle than you are in a car, but that is simply because there are so many more cars.
Right. So, do you think the danger of it, I hope I could phrase this right, is the danger that, or the fear that people see with this, do you think there's the fear that they are not going to be able to operate it safely and basically tip over in a turn or something? Or is it the fear of the other riders or the other drivers, and if they get hit, what happens? Is it more of the level of the consequence or just the percentage of it happening to you? Does that make
So,
sense?
I think we did a great video this year of like 5 myths for beginner riders. We did that in 2024. It was a really great video. One of the biggest things we learned doing research for that video is like a lot of people think if you're leaning in a turn, you're just going to fall over. Like people who've never ridden a motorcycle or a bicycle even, or like if you're going quickly through a turn, you lean too far, you're just going to fall over. Like that's just not necessarily the case. There's a
No,
lot of
you just turn sharper.
yeah, like there's a lot of physics and things, and then of course there's a limitation to grip. But like that's a really common myth is that like if you lean too far in a corner, you're just gonna fall over, which is technically true, but you've got to lean like 60 degrees. So
Well, if you lean far enough and not going fast enough, yes, you will. But
yeah,
yeah, it's one of those things you have to build up a comfort to.
yeah.
But do you think that's kind of a barrier that people just see that and are like, I don't want to fall over when I go into a turn?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty like it's weird that that's a thing. Like as a motorcyclist, you're like that's ridiculous. But for people who don't know, like that's a legitimate problem.
Yeah.
It's something they just don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
I feel like that fear or the motorcycles are dangerous is a common theme out there, especially for non-motorcyclists. One of the things that just irks me, like when I'm talking to somebody new and I mention I ride a motorcycle or they find out or something,
Mm-hmm.
is when they immediately go to the, oh, isn't that dangerous? I knew
Oh, I
somebody who
know a
owned a
guy
motor.
who died on a bike. It's yeah,
They immediately go to like worst case scenario,
yeah.
and it's like it makes me want to do that to them. Like somebody comes up to me like, hey, guess what? We're pregnant. Well, I knew a person whose baby died in their stomach and just,
Yeah.
am I going to
Like,
go
it-
all?
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
I feel like a lot of people make that jump that like you hear about my cousin's buddy's brother, his friend, blah 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 blah.
He was on
like-
Dan Dan's video.
Yeah, you know, there's so many people I think that just immediately jump to, well, I hear it's dangerous, I've heard it's dangerous, I have pre-existing notions that it is dangerous. I'm like, okay, but you're much more likely to get in a car accident within the 5 miles of like around your house.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people. Oh well, I know a guy. I would never get on an airplane. I know a guy who knew a guy who crashed. Was on an airplane that crashed. It's like, cool. But you're also more likely to get struck by lightning twice than you are to be in a plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, statistically.
Yeah. Now,
So, like,
the consequences of a plane crash, unfortunately, are more severe than getting in a car wreck. So,
Yeah,
do you think
which
that
the
plays
consequences of a motorcycle wreck are generally perceived as more severe than a car wreck. That being said,
Yes.
I've been in much more. Is that an emoji of me?
It
Jesus
is.
Christ.
You're welcome. Oh, I forgot. I put that
Yeah,
in
no
there.
one told me that. But the perceived danger is a I don't want to call it a problem, but it is a thing.
Sure.
Whereas the reality of a situation is very different. Obviously, there are, for every one motorcycle wreck video on the internet, there are probably 5 car wreck videos on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't stop that. Well, a lot of people have that what is it called? Like a invincibility complex of like, well, when I'm in a car, I'm surrounded, I've got airbags and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, and if you get hit by a semi-truck, you're screwed.
Right.
If you're on a motorcycle, you get hit by a semi-truck, you're screwed. Either way, you're screwed.
Right.
Like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You get rear-ended in a car, you're probably okay. You get rear-ended on a bike, you might be slightly injured, but depending on the situation, you're probably okay. Like, if you are doing the correct steps, making sure you are riding safely, defensively, in a position that you are paying attention to the world around you, you can avoid a lot more accidents that you can in a car. Like, I've been in traffic before, and I'm sure Dan could attest to this. I'm sure he's seen videos of it. Is like, I've been in traffic before, like, not right behind the car in front of me. I'm off to the side, and I see that the car behind me is not slowing down. I will scoot out of the way, and I've watched that car hit the car I was just next to. And be like, I would be dead. But because I'm tinier, I'm on a bike, I have the availability to wiggle out of situations.
Well, and that's one of the things as a biker you have to think about. Like, most riders will never encounter that situation.
No,
but
hopefully.
you have to be mindful of it.
Yeah, you have to be. So, it's very real. It can happen.
And maybe that goes into, I'm justifying the barriers. There's a lot more that motorcyclists should do to be safer.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a lot of motorcyclists that are not doing that, then you get these horror stories about accidents and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And because the consequences are more severe, that's what gets the attention, and that's what sticks with people and says, I'm never getting on 2 wheels. And it's unfortunate that it's one of those.
Yeah, I think it's disproportionate. And I think a lot of people see most. I don't have a stat, but this is an opinion of mine, and I could probably find a stat for it. But I feel like a lot of car drivers, you see that one asshole motorcyclist flying down the freeway, and you're like, well, all motorcyclists are assholes, and all of them are stupid, and none of them wear gear. That guy's wearing shorts and a t-shirt and blah, blah. That's just all motorcycles. Like, no, that's just not true. Yeah, it's a Jixer bro. It's a Jixer bro doing a $130 down the freeway in traffic like an idiot, but they don't see the 75 other bikes that they've seen before that guy that are totally safe, normal people, just happen to be on a motorcycle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good point too.
I think it's opinion bias. I think that's what it's called.
And there are a lot of dumb drivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Dan hits it like to be. I feel like there needs to be more stringent driving enforcement for licensing and such.
What's terrifying is in the state of Georgia, if you are 25 years old, you just go get a driver's license.
There's no road test?
Nope. You just go get it.
Oh, my gosh.
Could you read kind of English? Are you 25 years old? Can you prove that you're 25 years old? You want to drive a car? Cool, no problem.
That's terrifying. And it makes so much sense now when I think about Atlanta traffic.
It's so scary. A buddy of mine works at the DMV and is like horrified every day. He's like, I can't believe we hand out licenses to people. And like, there needs to be a more strict test, and it needs to be more often. Because right now, it's like you do the test when you're 16, and then you don't test again.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. It needs to be every
20, 30 years go by, and there's different laws that are in place or something that you need to be aware of. And
Yep. And I think it needs to be every 5 or 10, and then as you get older, it needs to become more often.
I would agree with that.
Because the number of like super old people that I see out on the road
In their Buicks
that like in their Buicks and in their
that are 30 feet long.
30
I'm
foot long
coming back.
Buick Enclave, and like they're doing 15 under the speed limit, and they're not able to hold their lane, and they can't see over the steering wheel. It's like there needs like I don't want to take people's. I'm very pro freedom. I don't want to take anyone's freedoms away.
Sure.
But like there comes a point where you are a danger to society.
Yeah, but driving is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah.
And so I think it has to be earned, and people are earning that way too easily. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that really goes back to our topic of barriers to entry, but maybe it does.
Maybe it does. Is good training. Financially, it's really no different than buying a car. The maintenance is a little more expensive or a little cheaper depending on how many miles you ride.
Mm-hmm.
I think the perceived safety or risk, perception bias is definitely a thing, but
I think it's also one of those things, if we can get more people just to get a taste of it, like Honda has been doing those ride days.
Yep.
I think they're starting to do more of those. Actually got my wife to go on one a couple years ago that Doodle had promoted, so we got to meet her up there. That was pretty cool.
Sweet.
But just the other day though, we were out riding. Like she gets on the ruckus and we'll take some back roads and whatever.
Yeah.
And she was on that. And she was like, I don't know. It might be want to get something a little bigger. And I'm just like,
oh yeah.
but to that point, I think if people kind of get on it and at least experience it a little bit, I feel like that can take down a lot of perception or just that initial fear of balancing on a bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
it's not that. It is a big deal, but it's not insurmountable. So
yeah, I mean it's. Getting on a dirt bike or on a scooter is a great way to introduce people to the sport, and realize that it's really not a huge deal.
Sure. Yeah, small bore has a good point. A motorcycle is usually a second vehicle in the States. It is a luxury item to most people in the United States.
That is very true. Where it is like the main form of transportation for most everywhere else in the world, which I find is so interesting.
It's my primary mode of transportation to work.
Yeah, it was mine for years. I have a car now due to some other things we have going on right now.
Which may be a story for another day, but because of where I work and the cost to park a car, that was the catalyst for me to pursue motorcycling.
Yeah.
And look where I am now.
Parking
on the internet
a car versus a bike, right? Live on the internet talking about motorcycle stuff, however many years later. But yeah, I think to wrap up that bit is just, financials, not that big of a difference. It is a luxury item here in the U.S., but it's so different than everywhere else in the world. And I think it's a perceived bias of a skill.
Right.
That has to be created.
Yeah, I think if there were just ways to just get it, make it more available, but it's hard because the U.S. is so car centric.
Mm-hmm.
It's just tough to do. So
yeah, things are just far apart.
So if you are a motorcyclist, just share with your friends like how it's fun and it's not too bad. But
it's literally
I don't know.
One of my most therapeutic things I can do.
Absolutely. Two-wheel therapy is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I think that's going to wrap up this one. Once again, thank you to all our members that support us over here on YouTube. So if you're listening on podcast, head over to youtube.com/@liveontwowheels. Join us for our live streams there. Also consider becoming a member. Support us there, and you'll be eligible for giveaways and prizes, which we just had earlier in this live stream.
So Leaf and Control Alt Owned, you guys have 7 days from today, February 6th, to claim that. Hit up Ghost on the Instagram.
And then also big shout out to our primary supporter, Cardo Systems.
Yep.
They are running, again, a Valentine's sale starting tomorrow through the 16th. You have to use the link in the description. That's how the discount will be applied and to support us. So,
absolutely.
But yeah.
Well,
So
guys,
I mean, there you go.
It's been your boy Patty Rick.
And Ghost. And
Thanks
I
for
need to
hanging
get out.
out.
I need to get out there and do that Smart Rider course. And
Yeah. I'm gonna find that PDF and.
yeah,
do
Dan
that.
said earlier in the chat
The
it's
weather's
still
gonna
on.
be pretty terrible this weekend, but we'll see how next week looks.
Yeah, he said it's on his, I guess, his store. It's still like a free purchase.
Sweet, raining all next week too.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Oh, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Ingalls, a member for 23 months. Wanted to see how close he was to 2 years. Almost there, buddy. March
Next
will
month.
get you to 2 years. That's wild. And then I'll let you take that one.
Hobbit of Chaos, $1.99 super chat.
Chaos. Very on brand for our little Hobbit there.
You know, when I was younger and I saw that word, I was like, what is
Chaos.
chaos?
What's chaos?
Chaos.
Chaos.
Is that Asian? Is that an Asian dish?
Who knows? Well, gang, thank you for hanging out with us this month. Thanks, Dan, for stopping by and hanging for a little while and telling us, getting us kicked off on talking about the Smart Battle and Safe Riders Initiative. So, super
Maybe we can
stoked
pull Dan on
that.
here one time to talk about that.
Maybe we'll need
Dan?
to. We'll see if we can work that out. We'll see if he's still in chat. I don't know. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your month, the rest of your Thursday evening. For our live stream folks, for our podcast people, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we weren't too ridiculous, but odds are we probably were.
Remember, don't be a jerk in your circle.